So out of love, we pass down bad habits from generation to generation. There's somebody in this audience right now, they're not trying to do it, they're just programmed this way. Somebody in this audience is saying, well, who's he think he is? Why is he up there? He talking too long. That's not my problem, that's yours. Guys, you say she's fine. Girls, you say he's handsome. After you get through all that and you ask what their name is, you ask them what their credit score is. A man learns to love the woman he's attracted to. A woman becomes more attractive to the man that she loves.
The one, the only, Mr. John Hope Bryant.
This is a beautiful thing. Hello, everybody. I love that you are coming at this thing with class and style and substance. And it just shows that we can make smart sexy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In many ways, you know, it takes 20 years to change a culture. In the last 20 years, we've made dumb sexy. We've dumbed down and celebrated it. And now it's time to make smart sexy again. And when you do something like this, you're raising the frequency of our whole culture. And you're a signal for Olivia. Olivia is 4 years old, I'm told going on 14. She's clearly a daddy's girl. And her mother, who I met, is radiant and special. But when she was backstage, she was just walking past everybody and through between everybody's space with no intimidation. She's very comfortable. It takes a lot to be normal these days. She's normal. Most of our kids are not normal. They're abnormal. They're traumatized. They're stressed out. They're afraid. And we model what we see. Why do kids want to be rap stars, athletes, and drug dealers? They're not dumb and they're not stupid. They're brilliant. They're modeling what they... We just need to give them something different to see. People to forget that NASCAR came from moonshine running in the Appalachian Mountains. And that illegal activity, they realized that was not going to go anywhere. But they took the talent of driving really well on those roads and applied it to a profession called professional race car driving, which didn't exist back then. Now it's a multi-billion dollar industry. Those same families, 5 generations later, are worth $100 million each, up from nothing. And while that is possible for the most challenged parts of our communities and neighborhoods, it's a much easier line just to show Olivia how to do it right the first time. Can I get an amen? Amen. Absolutely. Give that a hand, please. I am here. I'm so honored to be amongst you. I am here for these 5 founders who I believe in. And I put my money where my mouth was. We made an investment in their company. I don't know if anybody wants me to tell the number. I think the number actually was already telegraphed, but we made a not insubstantial investment in their company through Hope Ventures, part of Operation Hope that I founded, because we believe in them. And this is the first investment of any company directly from Operation Hope in 32 years. Because they check all the boxes. Now, coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. That's an Andrew Young quote, Ambassador Andrew Young, who, by the way, when I say we're sitting in a moment in history, and you are, he lives 20 minutes from here. You can see him at the grocery store. We take it for granted. Think about this. That's as close as you're going to get to Nelson Mandela in the world. Today, there's no other man who's got 100, or woman, who has 130 honorary doctorate degrees. I have 3. People think that's special. 130. Brought the Olympic Games to Atlanta, turned it into an international city. served on the board of Delta, and got them to go to Africa when they didn't want to do. Now Africa is one of the most profitable routes within the Delta Airlines. They don't even think twice about it. They didn't want to go to Africa before Andrew Young. The busiest airport in the world is right here in your city, in the world. The 10th largest economy is right here in the city that you're sitting in. The 10th largest economy in the United States of America, $450 billion a year, is the city of Atlanta, the moral capital of America. And where else can you go to the grocery store and see history walking around? The King family, the Abernathy family, the Young family, heroes and sheroes who made it so that you can do whatever you want, when you want, however you want, anytime you want. We take it for granted. But that's like talking about the framers of the Constitution and the founders of America. It's the third Reconstruction you're in right now, by the way. The second Reconstruction was the Civil Rights Movement, and this is what I call the Civil Rights Movement, from the streets to the suites. The first one was the freedom from slavery, the first Reconstruction. And each of these Reconstructions have had pushback immediately after their progress. And you're in the midst of that pushback right now, which is why it's even more important to show up for a company like Black Coffee Company and to underscore that it's the right thing to do at this time. We back up and use another great quote from Ambassador Young. Coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. I mentioned earlier, I met them by accident. Accident of God, maybe, or accident of the universe. I was at the Black Effect Network podcast festival, and iHeartRadio and Charlemagne is a friend of mine. I have a podcast on their network. Please subscribe to it, Black Effect Network, Money and Wealth. And yes, get the book. All these are tools and shovels for the new movement. Tools and shovels for the new movement. I once asked Dr. Dorothy Height, who, if you don't know that name, ladies, you need to research Dr. Dorothy Height, who was the only Black woman to ever control and own a building on Pennsylvania Avenue down the street from the White House in the history of this country. She was a mentor, a friend of mine, and she once told me, John, I like you because you're a dreamer with a shovel in your hands. These guys, these ladies and gentlemen who run this company are dreamers with shovels in their hands. They want a hand up, not a handout. So I met them through Charlemagne and some of the executives at iHeartRadio who wanted me to come and be as impressed as they were. And I meet a lot of entrepreneurs, just to give you some texture. Like the young lady did a great job of introducing me, but I want to give you some sense for the scope of what it is we do, so you understand how hard it was for me to break through the noise and see the brilliance of these guys. So my holding company is the largest financial inclusion holding company in America, not the largest Black company, the largest Black this or Black that, the largest one in the country. So we have about $90 million of annual revenue from all the entities. We have invested $4.7 billion in underserved neighborhoods, creating homeowners and small business owners and entrepreneurs. We have 400 employees, 300 physical offices, 42 states. We've increased credit scores 54 to 100 points, 6 months to 18 months. Nothing changes your life more than God or love than moving your credit score 120 points. By the way, those who are not married here, when you go out tonight, later, or tomorrow, and you happen to be at some place where you don't know everybody like tonight, guys, you say she's fine. Girls, you say he's handsome. After you get through all that and you ask what their name is, you ask them what their credit score is. Because you were marrying your business partner. Cute is not enough. Am I getting too uncomfortable? Somebody might get too deep. You know, you can do bad all by yourself. I asked Quincy, I asked Quincy Jones his nature, the definition of a relationship. He said, the only thing worse than being alone is wishing that you were. So those who follow me, you know that I say that I like math because it doesn't have an opinion. The only time I don't use math is in a relationship. Your relationship with God should be the first relationship. And your relationship with man and woman on a spiritual basis, where you give more than you get, should be that second relationship. And I often say that a giver and a giver is exotic, and a giver and a taker is neurotic, and a taker is psychotic. Check yourself and check your relationship. Not just those you're with from a partnership, but friendship. I'll repeat, a giver and a giver is exotic. A giver and a taker is neurotic. And a taker is psychotic. So when I met the founders of, they didn't know I was doing this, when I met the founders of the Black Coffee Company, and one of the reasons you got my attention, by the way, is my wife's favorite artist is Black Coffee, who's from Africa, South Africa. Again, another coincidence, so it got my attention immediately. But one thing I wanted to pick up was, what was the energy amongst the founders? And if they got a bunch of drama between them, I'm good. I don't need to be adding to that. I have a non-toxic zone around me. I can do better all by myself. I don't need help. So I noticed that they were together. They were of one accord. They were builders. And so going back to this definition of relationships, only in a relationship should 2 + 2 = 6, 8, or 10. If a relationship does not make you mean and feel that you got 6, 8, or 10, what are you doing? As rational as that is, most people don't do it. The cuteness will go away. The fineness will go away. You're trying to build something. Can I get an amen? You need somebody who can build with you. And yeah, you don't want just the amen corner. You want that constructive friction. God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you listen twice as much as you talk. And you need to understand that you have different skills and different talents. You come from different places and different parts of the orchestra. Now, what I'm about to say is a generalization, but I think it sticks. A man learns to love the woman he's attracted to, and the woman becomes more attracted to the man that she loves. Am I getting too deep for a Saturday night? Say it again. Say it again. A man learns to love the woman he's attracted to. A woman becomes more attracted to the man that she loves. What I'm really saying is that a woman's deeper. Not because she's better, but because she's the only one that can give life. Men can't give life. Without women, there'd be less men. That was funny, but you can pick that up. Women have a natural relationship with God. They are terminals to a higher power because they literally give life. You are literally emotional creatures. And so when a woman says to you, brothers, I don't know, I don't feel for you, I ain't feeling them, I don't know about that, and you want to give reason to her, ration to her. By the way, a woman talks to share, a man talks to solve a problem. Am I losing you? Don't try to turn the man into the woman. Don't try the woman try to the woman the man. Don't discount each other because 2 + 2 should equal 6, 8, or 10. You should be better too. Together. You have different talents, different skills. So when a woman starts talking, what a man is really thinking is, if there's an end to this story, can we please start there? But there may be something in the flow and the ebb and the elegance of that conversation with this woman of yours that right in the middle or towards the end might change your whole life. Learn to have patience and let the game come to you. You can't go to grace for prepare yourself well for the coming of grace to you. At some point, the woman in your life, be a mother, be an auntie, be a grandmother, be your woman, will say, baby, he ain't right. Yes or no? You don't know nothing about the person. You haven't read their dossier. You haven't read their credit report. You haven't read their financial statement. You don't know nothing about them. It's just women's intuition. You feel it here. Because we're not human beings. Am I getting too spiritual? We're not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Energy matters. So when Charlemagne and his crew introduced me through my wife having black coffee in the back of my brain, we got engaged in South Africa at Shambhala Game Park, which was Nelson Mandela's private getaway in South Africa, with Ambassador Andrew Young present in the country. So South Africa, I wear Mandela's prison number here every day. South Africa has a special resonance for me. Just so happens my wife loves black coffee. And again, Nikki Sparrow from iHeartRadio through Charlemagne said, let me bring you over and meet these good brothers, who I found were of one accord. And then I tasted their product and fell madly in love. Now, Maya Angelou said, people don't remember what you read or what you said or what they heard. They remember how you made them feel. When you drink a Coca-Cola, it's just bottled sugar water. But it is one of the biggest brands in the world because of how it makes you feel. Steve Jobs was not a great engineer. In fact, you may not even know that Steve Jobs is not the founder of Apple. He's a co-founder of Apple because he was a great designer, Steve Jobs, a great dreamer, a great visionary of the look and the feel and the flavor and the vibe and the energy. He was the first designer at a company that made you feel something about technology. Hold on to that for a minute. Because when you have an iPhone, it sort of makes you cooler. Hold on for a minute. But very much like these partners have found an elegance in the orchestra and have not gotten into each other's way, trying to ego trip and power trip about who's in charge of this or that and who has what title and whose idea is supposed to reign over whose other idea, which is a complete ridiculous conversation. It's like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. The ship is sinking and we're picking drapes. And I don't know about you, but I love my white brothers and sisters. I'm 27% European and 70% from Africa, and the rest is Asian, Indian, others. So we're all global gumbo. When you look at your DNA, we're all, by the way, 99.9% of all human DNA, precisely the same. When we obsess about looks and color and all this stuff, but on this point, I will make a cultural differentiation on the Titanic. One thing black folks are not going to do, which my friends in spirit did on the Titanic, is they had a band that played on the way down. No, we ain't doing that. We getting out. I mean, if that was cool in the gang, they'd been tripping over people trying to get to the life. I mean, these folks are playing with their tuxedos on. We're not doing that. But a lot of businesses do something worse than that. Not at least playing an orchestra all the way down is elegant. At least it's on a higher frequency. You believe in the afterlife and all that stuff. Well, most of us is doing just arguing over stupid stuff. And Ambassador Young has another great quote. Men and women fail for 3 reasons: arrogance, pride, and greed. So I checked their energy. Did I detect arrogance? Did I detect greed? I don't want to do business with any of those people. Just enough pride to say, I am somebody and this is my company. And we are special, which is exactly what you want. You know, most things in balance are actually healthy. Alcohol in imbalance will lower your blood sugar, blood pressure. Drugs in balance are prescribed. I mean, most things in balance are good things. It's when you get them out of balance, which comes when we have low self-esteem. I'm going off into a deep end. Which is another thing I had to think about when I was, but brother, you guys didn't know I was looking at all this stuff about you when I was talking to you, but I read people fairly well and I do it pretty quickly. So let me tell you another test that they passed, which was unique and special and why I know they're going to be successful. African Americans, here's the positive part. We've been doing so much with so little for so long, we can almost do anything with nothing. So I knew they could take a little and turn it into a lot. Here's the rub. If you're African, meaning from the African continent, 54 countries on the African continent, I've been to about half of them. I've been to 100 countries around the world in total. When you experience Africans, which I hope it doesn't come as a surprise to anybody here, that's where you're from. Sometimes it's an interesting conversation talking to our people. But by the way, Africa's where everybody's from. Can I go here for just 1 second? Because this is ridiculous. Racism is scientifically stupid. But hold me to come back to the conversation of how this addresses my analysis of the Black Coffee Company founders. Will you do that for me? Let me take a sonder here for a moment to a little bit of important history that I want you to keep with you for the rest of your life. So you're not having stupid conversations with people. Because to argue with a fool proves there are two. The world is 5 billion years old. 5 billion. Human organism life on Earth is 4 billion years old. Human life, meaning Neanderthals, the group that preceded you before God breathed consciousness into you, in my opinion, Neanderthal life is a couple 100 million years old. You follow me so far? Okay. Modern human life, as we understand it, 150,000, 200,000 years old. Jesus showed up on the scene about, give or take, 3,000 years ago, give or take. The Bible is not very precise on those kinds of facts, but you get the point. It's fairly recently. Let's back up for a minute on that timeline, because the word white, the racial word white, was created in the 1600s in Virginia. I'll play that back for you one more time. The racial word white did not exist except in the last 400 years. There were Black people who were royalty. That's why you like that show, Bridgerton. Before 1600s, power and money and position in the world determine your pecking order in this world, but let me come back a bit because I've gone a bridge too far. Here's why racism is stupid. Why are black people dark? I heard it. He says, you said geography. Okay, I heard melanin, but you're getting ahead of me. That's really smart. Hold on. Because Africa is hot. Y'all getting all deep and going to metaphysical. Y'all taking y'all degrees and your tuxedos really seriously. As you should. But my man hit it. Sub-Saharan Africa, in particular, call it South Africa, where the first person we call a human being stood upright, modern human being, a woman, in what we call South Africa. Sub-Saharan Africa is direct sunlight. Imagine what happens over a few hundred years. You get dark or you die. The pigmentation, the melanin, of our skin absorbs heat rays. By the way, do you know the color that all other colors come from? Black. So your skin absorbs heat rays. Hold on, it gets deeper. Why is your nose wide? Pre-surgery. Why is your... Did I just know something? I owe a whole bunch of apologies tonight, don't I? I'm not hating on plastic surgery. Hey, whatever. I thought about it. I broke my nose when I was in 8th grade. But I'm afraid if I get my nose fixed, I will talk different. So, but I thought about it. So I'm not hating on nose. I'm just saying, naturally, why are black people's, there's no trick questions here. Why are black people's noses wider? Man, you are good. Have you been watching my videos? He's been doing deep research. This is, you gotta dig for this. Anybody heard what he said? To cool your lungs. The air in your wider nostrils cool your lungs to cool the air before it goes in your lungs. Because if your lungs overheat, you're done. Why is the hair nappy before a hair salon? By the way, I just don't understand why we don't control hair weave industry. I just don't understand. I don't understand it. Look, my family, get my family done. It's all good. I mean, I used to have a weave, a shag back in, the day. It wasn't my hair. I got it. But why don't we own the whole thing? Okay, let me stay on message. Why are black people's hair nappy? Because God knew what he was doing. The softest part of your body is over your brain. If your brain cooks, you're done. So God created kink to absorb and dispense. God is so amazing. To absorb and dispense the heat before it gets to your brain. Why are our lips big? I don't know, but everybody wants it. Are you with me so far? God is good. And all this relates back to these founders. Hold on a minute. As you go from South Africa to North Africa, what happens? The sun is less direct. What do you look like in Morocco? Olive skin, curly hair. You jump over the pond of water. It's called the Mediterranean, named by mankind. You're now in southern Spain, southern Italy, Southern Europe, Southern France. Those are black people. What happens to the curls? This is the kink that over hundreds of years has unfoiled, has unfurled, has come unkinked. It is the kink in a curl. Am I losing you? If you take the water between North America and South America and Europe and Africa and remove it, don't trust me, go home and do it yourself. Here's what happens to the plates. Click, click. We were once one, and we came apart. And mankind said, this is Nigeria, and this is Spain, and this is Italy, and this is, and this is. That's man, not God. As you go further in Europe, and you get to, I'm gonna do this real quickly now, you get to Northern Europe, to the Nordic countries, to Norway, to Sweden, et cetera, people make white people look brown. So the folks, this gentleman here, I think is Caucasian or has some Caucasian blood. I see another gentleman who is lighter here. But you can think about somebody who's Caucasian. Those people who you say are white, if they go to the Nordic countries, look and are referred to as dark. I've got people in my family who look just like him, and just like him, and just like him. So my point is that racism is a made-up problem. It's our own insecurities. What does it have to do with these brothers? They didn't put a sign out that said black business. It's a black coffee company for all business. No, my Jewish brothers don't put a sign out that says Jewish business. White businesses don't say white business. Latinos don't say Latino. Only black people say black business. And I'll get to why in a minute. These brothers just run a good business that happens to be owned by black people. And that is why I invested in you. And that's why I think every investor here should want to invest and double down with it. Because there is no perfect. And a saint is a sinner that got up. And we're all angels with dirty faces. And if you're waiting for perfect, you'll be waiting for a very long time. And don't look in the mirror, because you're not going to find that there either. Don't let the perfect be the death of the good. These are good brothers, good business people, and they deserve a shot. Now, as I wrap up, do you want me to tell you about what I started out by saying about North Africa, or Africa, Europe, and the Caribbean, or not? Because it also is sort of the drop the mic of why I ultimately decided to go with you guys. If you're in Africa, you tend to have, again, whenever you generalize, you discriminate, but follow me here. If you're in Africa, you have intact families. The doctor looks like black, the mayor's black, the criminals are black. You guys are a hard group. This is some funny stuff. So you tend to have high self-esteem and low confidence. You have low confidence because you've not succeeded with your skills in a market economy. You follow me? You go to the Caribbean, where slaves were dropped off, but not for slavery didn't last a long time. You still have intact families. Doctors, lawyers, the prime minister, the robbers, the criminals, the police, everybody's black. So you have high self-esteem and low confidence because you're not driven, it's not a big market economy in the Caribbean. You come to America, the #1 economy in the world, the biggest economy on the planet, the sole superpower in the world, and you kill it. You succeed here. You've got high confidence because you're confident, because you succeeded against the odds where nobody else did, but because of 400 years of slavery and Jim Crow and being told you were nothing, after generations of that you believe it, we tend to have low self-esteem and high confidence. So now if you want to understand crab in the barrel, you want to understand why we don't stick together. You want to understand why we can't work together. You understand why we player hate each other. Hurt people hurt people. And no matter how, old Southern saying, I'm almost done now, no matter how much I love you, my son or my daughter, if I don't have wisdom, I can only give you my own ignorance. So out of love, we pass down bad habits from generation to generation. There's somebody in this audience right now, they're not trying to do it, they're just programmed this way. Somebody in this audience is saying, who's he think he is? Why is he up there? He talking too long. That's not my problem, that's yours. Why would you not say 100% bravo? Kudos. Glad for his success. So glad to see him successful. So glad he invested in the black coffee company. I wish I could do some of that. I want to meet him. Maybe it's not my business plan, but I want to follow. That inspires me to do more. Why don't you have the joy of this young lady? Do you know it takes 37 muscles to frown and 7 muscles to smile? It takes work to be a miserable person, and people do it every day of the profession. So when I see high self-esteem, which means somebody raised them well, high self-esteem, self-love, self-respect, human dignity, no arrogance, no pompousness, no player hating, no drama between them. They're just trying to be better together. They can talk to black people, white people, Wall Street, Main Street, Latinos, Asians, Indians, Jews. They can go around the world with a brand and make people proud to invest in something called the Black Coffee Company. And on that moment,